More NFL. The Colts placed the transition tag on Daniel Jones yesterday, giving him a one-year, $37.8 million tender. This gives the Colts the opportunity to match any offer sheet Jones would potentially sign with another team. So the transition tag is rarely used, especially for a player. At one point, we were talking about an MVP for. Obviously, he got hurt, a serious injury. So the Colts tagging Daniel Jones. What does that say about the state of the quarterback market right now, Kmart?
Well, what it says for the Colts is that they're willing to take the calculated risk, that they won't be outbid by other teams. And it's interesting because had Danny Dimes finished that season healthy, who knows where the Colts could have gone. And it's unfortunate for him because he was balling. We were like, another guy, I'm sure, Louis Riddick, is he a franchise guy? Well, he proved to be pretty okay, right? Pretty okay.
Franchise, good quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Right. But now the Colts have him right where they want him, essentially, where they're like, you know what, we'll take our chances. We think that we can sign you for less for this 1 year, and we'll see if anybody else ups the offer. But they feel like nobody will, and that's unfortunate because he really was putting up MVP numbers at the time of the injury.
Yeah, look, there aren't a lot of good options out there. The Colts know that. The Colts also know that who is going to take a chance on a quarterback who just ruptured his Achilles in December at this point in time, who, right or wrong, regardless of how he was playing up until this point, teams are still going to have questions on whether or not the Colts caught lightning in a bottle. Maybe he just really does fit what Shane Steichen likes to do in Indianapolis. They don't necessarily see that as being a transferable skill set maybe to their organization. The Colts are factoring in all of this. And they're saying, look, if they really thought that, hey, you know what, there's no way we can let Daniel Jones get away, regardless of what his injury status is, they would have put the franchise tag on him. But they're saying, hey, look, if you think you can get more, if you think you can get 47, 50 plus per year up there in that range, go ahead, and then we'll have to make a decision about what we're going to do. In the meantime, we're going to save some money on this transition tag, and we're going to let you go ahead and field other offers, see if other teams will come and get you. Doesn't mean we don't like you. It doesn't mean we don't like you at all because he was having a great season. But that's what it tells you about the quarterback market. It's just not strong right now. And they don't think, given his injury status right now, that he's going to garner a whole lot of interest. And quite honestly, if I didn't have a history with him, would I be that interested in him too? Regardless of how he had played the first half of the season, I would have a lot of questions. I don't even know when he's going to be available, let alone if he's going to do the same thing at my place that he did with Shane in Indy. That's the problem here. That's the message that they're sending him.
Stephen A.
Well, let's refrain from grabbing the balloons and holding a celebration for the Indianapolis Colts because you have to keep in mind that with Daniel Jones, since Andrew Luck's retirement following 2018, Daniel Jones was the quarterback in 7 seasons. They can't find a quarterback. So they haven't been very, very skilled in that regard. And we learned that in the aftermath of him getting injured because you got the Anthony Richardsons of the world, the Riley Lennons of the world, or whatever. You ain't got much to look at. You're in Daniel Jones, you franchise, you do the transition tag, you're ensuring that you'd have right of first refusal. You had a right to match, actually. So obviously that comes into consideration. And then again, like y'all just said, where else is he going to go? You know, you got teams that don't necessarily have cap space, whether it's the Cardinals, the Jets, or anybody else. And not only that, people are going to be reluctant to sign and commit to a quarterback that's fresh off of an injury, the kind of injury that he has sustained. So his options aren't that great in terms of seeking or getting the money that he seeks. But in the end, it's a wise decision on the Colts' part, and he shouldn't mind it at all because he was having a breakout season, the best of his career, and going back to familiar territory is something he should welcome because if he could do it before, the likelihood is he can do it again, and then he'd be in position to make mega dollars down the road.
Do you think this was the right move?
For
who?
For Indianapolis, absolutely.
Both.
Absolutely. And for him too. Look, if he's going to have to prove
that he can come back.
That's right. That he's going to be available.
Yeah.
And if he does, then he'll come back. He'll have a nice contract. He can have a big year, and then next year he kind of flips the script in terms of the leverage again. Because as Stephen A. was just saying, look, the Colts are aware of what their history has been as far as trying to replace that position in particular since Andrew walked out the door. They understand what it is. They got a glimpse of what he could bring to the table at the beginning of this season.
Well,
we were on shows like this every week sitting there going, man, what the hell is going on with the Daniel Jones? How all of a sudden has he struck gold here?
Mm-hmm.
Let's also remember this. Last year, he was also on a one-year deal. He was on a one-year deal paying him about $14 million, if I remember correctly. So it's like you played under 1 year and look how you performed. chances are you have an opportunity to replicate the kind of performance that you were having before you went down. So it's not a bad situation for either party at all, considering the circumstances, in my opinion.
I hate it for Daniel Jones because, like
Why?
we said, he was putting up MVP numbers, playing on a fractured bone in his leg, and then he gets the Achilles injury. And now it's, oh, well, he's lucky that he's getting 37.8 or 0.1 for this season. It's just unfortunate because he had played to a point where he should be making more than that.
Right.
That's all.
It is unfortunate.
That's the brutality of the business.
Career high in yards per attempt with Indy did Daniel Jones have last year, which was very impressive. We'll see when he can come back. I haven't even heard. How is his rehab going? I feel like we need to check in on one Daniel Jones. We'll do that another time.
Yep.
Trey Hendricks.
GM that you're looking for. So I think if you're Chris Ballard, you're sitting there going, look, maybe let's just see if we can get him to come here and see if he can turn around this defense, which really did struggle rushing the passer.
Mike Evans, as we roll along here, where would you wish to see him next year?
Look, I think going to Buffalo makes a lot of sense. Look, and I said earlier that I don't believe that he's still a true number one, the kind of guy who you can line up at the X or the Z and say, hey, look, he's going to dictate coverage being rolled to him, or he is going to beat one-on-one coverage, on a consistent basis. That's not being disrespectful. That's just being honest where he's at in his career. But Josh Allen would welcome him in open arms. I think that would be a perfect fit.
I love that one. And then the last one, really the biggest one, if you will, and that's Kyler Murray. The team informed him that they intend to release him when they can next week. For all intents and purposes, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Where would you like to see him?
Look, I'd like to see him in New York. I think Kyler Murray needs to go someplace where he is the unquestioned number one. You're not really putting him in a quarterback competition. He gets all the reps. He gets all the attention. All the attention. The offense is built around him. Obviously, they have to continue to monitor his rehab from the foot injury and make sure that he is good to go for the regular season. The Jets need that. They don't have any other options. Well, they have other options. They could address this position in
They don't have a lot of other options. No,
but,
it's a
they could
limited
address it in the
menu.
draft if they wanted to. But I think Kyler makes sense for them, given what the composition of their quarterback room is right now. I think he needs that kind of room where I'm the unquestioned starter. I get the reps, build the offense around me.
That part of it I agree with. Dominique, I've been a little surprised at how enthusiastic you are about Kyler Murray as an option for a team today. We've seen some very, very good. I mean, there are moments where you watch him and you say, well, he's one of one. But there are so many, I don't know, red flags might be too strong a word, but so many causes for concern at minimum. Are you willing to sort of bet your career, if you will, bet your job, if you're a decision maker in the NFL, on Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on who the decision maker is, but like we're basing it off the options. Like if you're going to have to bet your job on somebody or some player, like I would want to bet it on the most talented one out there. And I think it's clear that Kyler Murray is the most talented player out there who's also had some proof of concept. I think the situation has to be just right. But you say that as if you look around and it's just a ton of great quarterbacks who play really well and have the ability that Kyler Murray has. If you are in this situation, I think the Colts is a really attractive spot because Daniel Jones won't quite be ready, and you look at the type of offense that they want to run, I think it suits what Kyler Murray does really well. And again, it goes back to the point that he's only going to cost $1 million, so it's worth trying if nothing else.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. If you're going to sign him to the very short-term alternative, and that I would be totally in favor of. But a team like the Jets might have to sign him to the full-fledged quarterback contract, and that's where I would be very wary. What is your sense of what will happen with Kyler Murray over the next week or so, Kmart?
I like the talent. I just don't like the fit. I just think you have a head coach who's already on the hot seat. You have a team that I'm not even sure roster-wise what the Jets are. If I'm Kyler Murray, I'm not looking at the Jets thinking, oh, that's the most attractive place I should be. I want to go to Minnesota. I'd rather go to Indianapolis. So I don't see the fit. If I'm a Jets fan, though, I love it.
Yeah,
Louis, finish it up.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's going to be the number one place on his wish list.
Right.
I think obviously he wants to go somewhere where he is going to get high-level coaching, which he would still get at the Jets. Look, Frank, right? You're not talking about some guy who doesn't know how to tutor quarterbacks.
Right.
But I think he wants to go to a roster that's kind of like ready-made, where I have a true number one, I have an offensive line, I have a running game, and I have a system that has proven to be successful at a very high level and has helped other quarterbacks in similar situations. Minnesota.
If he winds up in Minnesota, that would be the most interesting thing that could happen this entire offseason without